The Discord. There's so many people in the green room that it won't even let me. Hold on. Fuck. Drag Godspeed in somebody. I can't even drag him in because it's so far up the screen that it won't let me drag. Let me see. Why won't it fucking scroll? Oh my god.
Oh, hello. How
Yes.
are you guys?
Oh shit. Put him back in there. Sorry, I accidentally kicked him out because I had him on. Can somebody put him back in? Okay. All right. Now you back?
Oh,
All right. Now let's adhere to the agreement. We won't say
I won't say the no words.
Yes. Okay.
But I would love to talk to Destiny as wild claims to authority on all the topics that you guys have talked about.
Claims to authority. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, first off, when it comes to incest, you're entirely wrong. Inbreeding and the depression of IQ in the study of 72 countries by Michael Woodley completely destroys all of your. He's the Royal Holloway from the University of London in the UK. You claim that there was no scientific proof that inbreeding affects IQ and it doesn't affect the quality of life. But it's completely untrue. And in this study, he said that it often leads to mental retardation and mutation, as well as multiple regression analysis revealed that in the absence of democracy index, percentage of consanguineous marriages, and educational index, that the rate of instability in a birth, especially with IQ and personal development, is commonly drawn to be a terrible thing for people that engage in incestuous acts. I mean, a Danish news outlet even did a whole study on it concerning the astonishing rate of stillbirths, physical deformities, and various mental illnesses caused by ever-imminent incest-filled landscapes, especially in the Muslim world, concluding that Pakistanis, Turkish, and Somali women were twice as likely to experience complications during childbirth. Nearly 70% of Pakistanis are the product of inbreeding in Islam. And they commonly have the ability to marry their own cousins. And, when they go through this, it's literally been proven by multiple statistics and studies that people that engage in incest are at least 13 times more likely than the general population to have a child with a recessive genetic order or, any kind of crazy malnormative disability like retardation, Down syndrome, or something like that. So I'd really like to see your statistics that show that, commingling and, fucking your siblings doesn't have any harmful effects. Can you show me any of these statistics? Can we read them? I'd love to read them.
Was that directed at me?
I believe so. Yeah, I think you're the only one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I never came out in support of inbreeding. I was saying that incest is morally neutral. I don't know if you were talking to someone.
You said. I just heard you not even an hour ago.
Nope, I've never defended inbreeding. Nope.
Are you high? The entire chat just listened to that. You just said
sure,
it an hour
So
ago.
how many people in the chat here heard me say that I think that a brother and a sister should be able to have babies with one another? I never said that. I was talking about incestual relationships.
What do you think leads from sexual relations between brother and sister, though? I mean,
okay, so I'm not sure what the average age is here again, but it is entirely possible to engage in a lot of sexual activity without having kids. I don't know if that's like beyond the scope.
It's a risk. It's a risk.
That's not what
factor.
you said. You said it was empirically impossible for people that engage in acts of incest to have children that don't have any kind of birth defects. And you did say that when you were arguing with me.
Grab me the clip where I said that. That betrays everything we know.
We're in the middle of a stream meeting, but I'm just going to go ahead and
wait. So wait, hold on. So you think that I would sit here? Do you think that I would?
Otherwise,
Come on. You just talked for like 7. You just talked for like 7 minutes.
You've been talking for 2 hours, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, if you just want to come here and talk at me the whole time. I mean, if you want to sit here and pretend that I don't know about like year 1 biology, obviously 2 people that are siblings having sex with each other is going to have like a much higher degree of some sort of deformity with the child, right? Recessive genes and whatnot have a chance of showing up twice or whatever, and chromosomes.
We can have people click the live stream while we wait. And talking fast doesn't mean you're an authority. I asked you for specifics. Give me.
I'm not going to give you a specific that denies that because that's empirical scientific fact. Of course, 2 people incestually breeding is going to produce children that
then why were you supporting it earlier?
I wasn't supporting inbreeding.
Yes,
I said that ancestral relationships aren't necessarily
wrong. We were
wrong.
talking about it earlier.
Let me know when you're done. If you want to keep talking, you can, and then I'll get my point out. Jesus fuck.
Do you have a point? Because I'm asking you for specifics, and you're just
You ever hear the phrase "God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth"?
Well, go ahead, Destiny.
Well, yeah. Okay. So inbreeding.
Let him go. Go ahead, Dustin.
So inbreeding is probably a bad thing insofar as people that share a lot of genetic material and having sex with one another will probably produce bad things. Even like I want to say, is it Northern Ireland? People are saying the gene pool here might even be so small that they're running into problems like these. And I've heard similar claims about a lot of Muslim communities as well. I don't know how true any of these are. I haven't dug into them, but yeah, inbreeding can definitely produce a lot of problems. But an ancestral relationship or any sexual relationship, one, doesn't necessarily have to produce children, and two, arguing against incest on the grounds that you could produce children with genetic deformities isn't an argument against incest. It's an argument against having children that could have genetic deformities.
It's an argument against degeneracy.
Let me know when you're done.
What you're doing
it's not an argument. Okay, so are you telling me that any person that has sex with another person...
You're terrible at this. No wonder you lost 2 debates to your mother.
You can't even stop talking.
Quit
are you okay?
Your ability to change topics.
I'm not changing topics. You're the one that just brought up my mom out of nowhere. I guess when you're 16, those are the kinds of jokes you go to, huh?
Oh, so now you're going to go to insulting me? For somebody who's such a fan
after you just talked about my mom? Yeah, I am going to go to insulting you. You opened yourself up to it pretty well, my dude. You literally just brought up my mom.
Twice. Are you getting upset?
Anyway. No, I'm not upset at all, dude.
Should we switch topics? Because we can get to Democrats and I can dunk you on that too.
I mean, you haven't even let me finish dunking you on like your total straw man out and defending inbreeding.
All you've done is talk about all you've done is change your position now that you've been proven wrong.
Okay, let me know when you're done.
Originally you were supportive of incest. Now you're not supportive and you see that it's wrong.
I'd never changed my support of incest, and I've never even said I supported incest. I just said I was morally neutral on it. But let me know when you're done.
That's not what you said. We all listened to you an hour ago claim that you were okay with it and that there was no empirical evidence to show a correlation between IQ and deformity with people that engage in incestuous acts.
You think that I said that? No, I did it. What are you talking? You're totally inventing this. I would love for you.
No, I'm not. People can go clip it.
Yeah, sure. People can. I'll wait for it. I would love to see that clip of me saying there's no correlation between IQ and incestuous. Why would I even say that? If anything, those things are probably positively correlated because the people that are most likely to engage in incestuous activities probably come from like backwoods fucking areas anyway.
Really? You just said that you supported it not even an hour ago, and you literally just changed the topic.
I can shit talk something and still support it. I also support people's abilities to do fucking psychedelics or marijuana and alcohol, and I can shit on those as well.
You're backpedaling now.
Those are proof. That's not I'm sitting right here next to my goalpost. It hasn't moved at all, my dude.
You keep quoting Ben Shapiro. Facts don't care about your feeling. So why are you getting shook right now in your voice? You're going, oh. Come on, dude. Give me facts. I want to see actual empirical evidence. I cited a paper.
We haven't even gotten to facts yet. You can't even establish first-order logic. Like, you can't even identify what I'm arguing about. You aren't.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about you. You're the one that can't establish a position.
Let me see if I can ask you a basic question. Do you think that inbreeding and incest are the same thing?
I think that inbreeding and incest are the same thing because you can't inbreed unless you engage in incest.
Okay, cool. Then we don't have to talk anymore. Like, you literally don't even understand the word, so there's nothing else to talk about. Yeah, I'm stupid, dude. What's the next thing you want to talk about?
Can you just incest? Are you fucking retarded?
I take the L here. You won, dude. Go to the next topic.
I know you take the L. So let's go ahead.
Let him do his next topic, and then we'll go to the next topic. Go ahead.
So you said with Democrats, when it comes to immigrants, most people don't vote Democratic. That's inaccurate too, because according to the Political Impact Immigration Evidence from the United States, written by Anna Maria Maidia, and that actually came from the National Bureau of Economic Research. They just published their study in 2018. I believe it was in April. They completely disprove your idea that most people vote Democrat, especially with new immigrants. Most of the time they vote Republican, because when it comes to immigrants that come into this country, they're put into two things. One is a high-skilled immigrant and one is a low-skilled immigrant. And when you go and exploit the different geography and timing of the inflows between these two groups of immigrants, we find that the increase in the first type of immigrants decreases the share of the Republican vote. So, while an inflow of the second type increases it. So, low-skilled immigrants most of the time tend to vote Republican, and they don't vote Democrat, which completely destroys your original claim where you claim that all these immigrants that are coming into this country commonly vote Democrat or commonly vote Republican. You were completely wrong by that. We also find that most of the time, low-skilled immigrants are never pro-Republican.
I don't think I ever said any of these things. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say. Like,
you were just arguing with Ralph about immigration. And then when it comes to gender dysmorphia, you're completely wrong about that too.
So it's first of all, hold on. Can we do one topic at a time? Holy shit! This guy's like so fucking excited to get in here. So
all right, hold on. Go ahead and respond to the first one, then we can talk about gender dysphoria.
So firstly, I'm under the. So I think that my initial statement was that different immigrants probably vote in different ways. So earlier we got into that, which is something that you seem to have just come on here and support. So early when we were. Can I please finish a point? I know that this is like the first time you've ever spoke to somebody in your fucking life on the internet. You're super excited for it, but holy shit, shut the fuck up.
Who the hell are you?
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, it shows. Okay, so firstly, we got into a disagreement earlier because I mentioned that different immigrants probably vote in different ways, and I'm pretty sure that I don't remember the name of the other guy, but we specifically talked about that point, where I said that like when we were talking about AOC's area, that different immigrants probably have different voting patterns. Like Hispanics probably vote one way, but people that immigrate from like European countries probably voted.
Democrat, and you were completely wrong about that.
Wait, so you're saying Hispanics don't vote? You're saying that Hispanics don't vote Democrat?
You said that they weren't voting for her because they were Hispanic, and that was completely wrong.
I don't even know what your argument is now. Hold on, wait. Can you answer? I know it's really hard to do this. Can you answer your question? Wait. So do you think that Hispanic immigrants generally vote Democrat or Republican?
They most of the time vote Democrat, especially if they're new immigrants.
Okay, wait. So what did I say that you disagree with? Or what are we disagreeing on?
You said that they didn't. You said that they weren't. That immigrants that were coming into the country were not affected by the voting populace was not affected by new immigrants into a new neighborhood. You said that when fucking Zidane made the contention that AOC only got voted in.
Did you just flip your point? Did he just flip his point 180? I'm so fucking confused right now.
Well, we did have the discussion about immigrant populations, affecting the political system, and you kind of took issue with that. And
you're saying that
the populace.
You're saying that immigrants coming here did. Oh no, I said I wasn't sure, but I said even if they did, does that matter? Is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, we have ways in the U.S. where people become citizens. Like, should that be changed? Or I mean, that's where the real debate is. That's where the real question is, right?
No, the debate is the fact that you made a claim that was incorrect, and I'm correcting you.
Which claim do you think I made again? Sorry, just getting this.
You said that low-skilled immigrants that come into this country don't affect the votes, and they did.
Wait, no, I didn't. Why would we were talking about that one specific reason?
Should we just start clipping you so that you can hear you? Like, do you just enjoy the sound of your voice so much that you forget the shit that you say on the show?
I literally make these arguments on a daily basis, my dude. Trust me, I'm not losing track of them. We were talking about AOC's one specific district on whether or not a change in demographics resulted in her winning as congresswoman there. We weren't talking about the broad political landscape of the U.S. Yeah, it might have, it might not. I don't remember. We didn't get the changing demographics. A lot of people say that
you don't remember, but before you did, and you acted very smarmy about it, but now you don't remember. That's
okay. I'm taking the L on this one too. What's your next topic? You want to talk about gender dysmorphia? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's the tranny situation.
What are we talking about specifically again?
We're talking about trannies. You claim that it's okay.
But what was it called? Gender what?
Yeah, gender dysmorphia. That's what it's called. It's a DSM-4 gender dysmorphia. That's
so two things. One, we're on the DSM-5. One, we're on the DSM-5, not the DSM-4. And two, it's gender dysphoria, not gender dysmorphia. But okay, what's your topic?
Okay, what's the difference between dysmorphia and dysphoria?
I know what gender dysphoria is. I don't know what gender dysmorphia is.
Do you not know what dysmorphia is?
I've never heard the term gender dysmorphia before. No. Is that a real thing or?
Never heard that.
Nope. And I just Googled it, and apparently Google hasn't heard of it either. So maybe this is like your own research. Can you present us, please, with your own research? Go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
Unless you're thinking of body dysmorphia, and you're confusing the two because you probably don't know either about either topic. But that's okay either. It's part of the course.
I'm sorry. Are you such an expert? Would you like to elucidate us on the topics? Can you get us some
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what gender dysphoria is if you want me to, but I imagine you already know if you heard it. What?
Well, why don't you tell us?
Sure. So gender dysphoria is the extreme unhappiness caused by the difference between how you perceive your body versus what it actually is insofar as sex and gender goes.
Oh, you mean like when you engage in an act of dysmorphia where you can't perceive your body as what it actually, kind of like how a fat person loses weight and they still see themselves as fat?
I'm not going to argue over like what the scientific terms are. I mean, you can go to Wikipedia and argue with the editors there, whatever you want to, but
over semantics.
Well, it's not semantics. These are what the words are. I'm sorry if that bothers you, but what did you want to talk about in regards to transgender people?
You because you don't really have an argument. You were just trying to argue semantics and you failed at it.
Okay. I was just talking about what the words mean, but yeah, go ahead.
You claimed that, it was okay for a child that is confused about their gender to get a sex change operation when they're young.
No, I didn't. I can draw the difference for you. I didn't say it was okay. Because whether or not it's okay or not is a moral argument. What I said was that the research generally shows positive outcomes with these types of treatments. That's what I said.
No, it doesn't, because the suicide rate and the comorbidity is 47%. How is that a positive outcome? Even after they get this.
Yeah, because measuring overall suicide rates between different groups of people before and after SRS doesn't tell you whether or not SRS is successful or not. You're citing you're doing the same thing that Ben.
It's a broad brush.
Sure. So I know the specific
suicide rate is 47%.
Let me know when you're done.
Actually, it's 47%. And the fact that they get the surgery is not a good thing, because they've already shown, especially in the World Health Organization's proposed analysis of ICD-11, which is the clinical utility of stakeholder agreement regarding the gender incongruence of childhood. They've already shown that the incongruent path does not match the norm, and that it's inappropriate to diagnose a child with a condition that will change as the child grows and matures. And in their sense of self-identity and esteem, most of the time they grow out of that gender confusion, and by the time they hit puberty, they don't feel the same way anymore. So for you to advocate that it's okay for you people to allow somebody with a sickness to get some kind of fucking permanent life-changing fucking surgery to become, a full man or a full woman, oftentimes when the people, especially the patient, when they find out that it doesn't matter that they've got the surgery because they're still a man or they're still a woman, no matter what they do, they commit suicide afterwards. So how is that a positive outcome?
Fuck, I stopped listening like halfway through. What was the first thing you said again?
Yeah, I know. You're really rude. I listen to you when you talk.
Oh, yeah, these questions are so boring because I go over these same like Ben Shapiro talking points every time. So the first thing you're talking about
I know you keep talking about Ben Shapiro.
My God. Am I allowed to get people in here? I don't normally do it, but he won't shut the fuck up and let me answer. It's like,
well, I mean, you have mentioned Ben Shapiro. You have mentioned Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, but I try to, like, this dude just literally monologues.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this show, but we're not big fans of Ben Shapiro here on the KillStream, and I don't really think most of the people. Nobody likes Ben Shapiro.
Okay, so taking the broad range of whether or not people kill themselves or commit suicide or not, and then looking at some groups of people that go after SRS and say that these people have also tried to kill themselves doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to compare or to try to say that you're making a point. Like, obviously these people are suicidal. That's why they're seeking SRS. So that very study has been cited in an incorrect way so many times that the actual author of that study has come out and given interviews to other websites where she talks about how upset she is that her research is miscited so fucking often about it. Firstly. Secondly, there are a lot of children that experience forms of gender dysphoria and then go back to the norm through puberty. That's fine. Like, child psychiatrists and child psychologists can identify that and let them, do their thing, work it out or whatever. Just because a child might be having some confusion about their gender early on doesn't mean you start pumping them full of fucking hormones and then sending them on their way. Thirdly, there is a ton of long-term empirical research related to SRS and hormone therapy, and most of it is immensely positive. People that go through sex reassignment surgery, people that have hormone therapy, have better outcomes longitudinally when you compare them with groups of people that haven't. Doing this thing where you look at all transgender.
No, they don't. Most of the time, they do not do well. Most of the time, they suffer from severe depression. They have the highest depression rate of any other subgroup in the entire fucking.
Here, I'll tell studies for you. You can go look at them and you can come back and argue with me later, because I don't want to do like the one-off fucking random dumbass Ben Shapiro things where you pretend that this is like. People...
Okay, so you're not going to give me any real facts or present any real evidence. You're just going to claim moral authority and sit there in your high chair and talk shit to me.
No,
that's not.
I mean, we can read them if you want. I can read them.
Well, read some. Go ahead and read some.
Let's do it. Okay.
Show me some actual facts.
Long-term follow-up: psychosocial outcomes of Belgian transsexuals after sex reassignment surgery. We've got the background, the aims, method, the results on the GAF scale. Conclusion: while sex reassignment treatment is an effective therapy for transsexuals, also in the long term, the post-operative transsexual remains a fragile person in some respects. It's pretty well studied that these things have positive outcomes on people that. We can read through the next link. We can read through this link. What does the scholar research say about the effect of gender transition on transgender well-being? Bottom line, the search found a robust international consensus in the peer-reviewed literature that gender transition, including medical treatment such as hormone therapy and surgeries, improves the overall well-being of transgender individuals. The literature also indicates that greater availability of medical and social support for gender transition contributes to better quality of life for those who identify as a transgender. Do people who have SRS still have problems afterwards? Yeah, of course. More than the normal population? Yeah, of course. But they generally do way better than before sex reassignment surgery. This just isn't something that's debated. I don't know what you want.
That's weird, because it is debated, because Paul McHugh, the Distinguished Service Professor of Psychiatry at Johns Hopkins University, completely destroyed that in his book that he recently released, calls it what did he call it? The transgenderism, a pathogenic meme.
I'm sorry, one book
not even a week ago.
A meta-analysis of
really, because I think I would believe the head of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins University over you. And what he said was,
don't have to believe
when the Tamoli shouting dies, it proves that it's not easy nor wise to live in a counterfeit sexual organization.
Well, what you said was it's not debated. I mean, it is debated, though. I mean,
it is.
When I say it's not debated, what I'm saying is right now there appears to be a clear scientific consensus on the idea that SRS and hormone therapy does produce positive outcomes for people that identify as transgender people. That doesn't have to be a debated thing.
And it's a better thing that we can claim that this long-term study that happened was completely disproved. We got a long-term follow-up of transgender persons undergoing sex reassignment surgery that was done with a joint op between Sweden and a few other Scandinavian countries, and they have proven that extending over 30 years of conducted research in Sweden, where the culture is strongly supportive of the transgender topic, they commonly are subject to lifelong mental unrest. 10 to 15 years after surgical reassignment, the suicide rate of those who undergo this sex reassignment rose to 20 times that of their comparable peers. McHugh points to the reality.
But what was it before transitioning?
No, it was after transition.
No, but what was it before? Because it was 40 times their peers before transition, and then 20 times after. That shows an improvement. You realize that, right?
No, they're saying that the rate of suicide has increased 20 times to what it was normally.
I guess I would have to go dig into that book then, because it doesn't seem
McHugh points to the reality that because
I don't know why you're citing a single researcher as well, but
it is frequently and commonly does not provide long-term wholeness and happiness that people. And I could just give it to you right now. Here's the thing: heritage.org, as well as his thesis, as well as the long-term study from Sweden from the PLOS1. So I'll just call that a dunk too, because I'm pretty sure that nationally
because you have one researcher that disagrees.
Really, I just posted 3 researchers. You can't even provide me one.
First of all, I posted 3 different links, one of which is a meta-analysis or references one in this chat. Are
they real doctors? Because these are real doctors. You realize Johns Hopkins University is one of the most well-known medical schools in the world, where some of the most prolific doctors come out of, as well as psychiatrists.
Okay.
I think I would believe the guy that's the head of the psychiatry at Johns Hopkins.
You just talked for literally like 20 minutes. Can you chill for like 2 seconds? So the idea that the only valid research that can come out of like a place on a topic has to be from like fucking Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins is hilariously fucking stupid. You know that, right? Like there are plenty of institutions around the world.
Hilariously stupid.
Firstly, the idea that like this one guy is like a master of
University
and to be taken more seriously than like every other research related to this shows an incredible fucking bias. Thirdly, the idea that you're writing like a single book here is some means to like hand wave off the
It's not a book, it's a long-term scientific study like you did, except mine is longer than yours and completely disproves yours.
Mine is longer than mine.
We're having a measuring contest. I love that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that when you look over something
mine's longer than yours.
A long period of time, mine's longer than yours, so it's completely
Wait, what do you call something that looks over something a long period of time again?
It's a study. And my study was longer than yours.
You know what kind of study?
It shows that you're
original. You're so fucking out of your depth here. Why are you having this conversation like with me? What the fuck? It's called a longitudinal study.
Are you getting upset?
I'm not upset.
Getting upset. I'm sorry.
You're like a 4-year-old. It's like throwing like random things at me.
I'm sorry, man. Do you need a break? Do you want to go read something before you come back and act cocky? It's okay. I'll just wait.
Hold on, wait. One of these studies you're talking about was a Swedish study?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, somebody just linked me this study. So the conclusion is persons with transsexualism after sex reassignment have considerably higher risks for mortality, suicidal behavior, and psychiatric morbidity than the general population. Our findings suggest that sex reassignment, although alleviating gender dysphoria, may not suffice as treatments for transsexualism. So this is basically saying what I said earlier, that it actually does improve, but they don't quite get to where the norm is.
No.
Exactly what that says.
You said that Ben Shapiro's comment was wrong and that he was a meme and that everything was wrong, but it's right.
So let me read you a quote. I'm sorry, you're talking about 2 different studies. So this is a quote from the researcher herself that did that first study. So this is a totally different study than what you cited before. So somebody's asking, as a researcher, how did you respond professionally, personally to your work being presented in such a misleading fashion? And it has to do with that thing that Ben Shapiro commonly cites. It seems like an impossible task to correct every single news article, blog, or online comment misrepresenting the results of your study. And then her response is, thank you for your question, and I'm happy I was invited to this AMA. I'm aware.
What does that have to do with the facts again?
what actually did it say? I know it's really boring to actually get into the data. You want to just like hammer home whatever talking point you have.
What does this have to do?
Of the study of +1. Some of you say some are, as you say, very difficult to keep since they are keep track of since they are not published in scientific journals. I'm grateful to friends all over the world who notify me of the scientific world. I do answer some of them, but I can't answer all. I have no good recommendations on what to do. I said many times that the study is not designed to evaluate the outcome of the medical transition. It does not say that medical transition causes people to commit suicide. However, it does say that people who have transitions are more vulnerable and that we need to improve care. I am happy that I'm happy that it has also been seen that way, and in those cases, help to secure more resources to transgender healthcare. So this is the person that was in charge of the study that people like Ben Shapiro often cite to say that transgender people that go through SRS have worse outcomes than people that don't. It's just not true.
Why does Ben Shapiro keep coming up? That's what I don't understand. But anyways,
I don't know. He loves
one
Ben
that's
like the
Shapiro,
patron saint at the moment.
He's like
Jesus Christ.
why do you keep bringing up Ben Shapiro?
This is who Destiny models his debate arguments after.
Wait. Hold on. Let me hear him. Let me hear him. Go ahead. Go ahead and answer.
Me? That talking point, that specific study is referenced like every time.
But
Ben Shapiro
you just keep bringing up Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's not here. He'll never be here. So I'll give you I give you a lot of credit for coming on the show. Ben Shapiro will not come on the show, so I'll give you credit there. But
sure, it doesn't change anything that I just said. That bringing up that specific study in that way,
you're wrong.
What was the next point?
You just read us a fucking interview with a scientist that said she's abhorred that people are using it to push the anti-transgenderism premise. That has nothing to do with the fact that the morbidity rate is incredibly high. It's on par with fucking Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto. It's like over 47% now. And in 2014, a new review of Scientific.
I want to let him just sit here like fucking read a book for us. Like, what was your next
consulting firm that evaluates the safety and health outcomes.
All right, let me know when you're done, and I'll be back.
Hayes found that the evidence of long-term sex reassignment was too sparse to support meaningful conclusions and gave these studies.
What was the next topic you tried to talk about?
All right.
I just said hazing. I mean, should we go to multiculturalism so I can dunk you on that too?
Sure. I'm trying to get dunked on the topic, but what do you want to talk about related to multiculturalism?
I mean, I heard you say that it wasn't a bad thing, and you also tried to say that America doesn't have a centralized culture. What's Western culture? The idea of freedom of expression, religion, human rights, liberty, democracy, they're distinctly Western values.
Do you ever leave them a chance to respond to any single point? Like, is your goal to just say so much stupid shit that it's like impossible to counteract it all? Or we can go by point if you want to have a real conversation.
I'm just doing what you've been doing to Ralph and Zidane and Gator for the past 2 weeks, which is to talk over them and claim moral authority. But unlike you, I actually bring books and facts with me.
I do this all day, every day, my dude. It's my literal fucking job. If you want to stop me at any point in time and go over any single individual point I make, you are always welcome to do so. I would hope you would extend the same courtesy to me.
I will go ahead and respond to what he said about Western culture.
I was in the middle of talking, and you started screaming about
52 different points. Why don't we just go through them one at a time?
Okay, do it.
I'm going through.
All right, wait. Let him go. Let him go. Yeah. Go ahead, Destiny. Go ahead.
What are unifying Western culture values one at a time, and let's discuss them. Go ahead.
I said American concepts like freedom of expression, religion, human rights.
Why can't you just do one thing at a time?
Because I'm literally going over all of them before we break them down. Are you this slow?
Why can't we just talk about them one at a time?
Okay.
So let's talk about freedom of expression. Let's talk about freedom of expression. Do you think that Americans are united on what it means to have freedom of expression?
What is that? Does that take away from the fact that we have the ability to have freedom of expression?
So is your idea of Western culture just what's written in like a law? In that case, how do you reconcile the fact that
are you trying to tell me right now that because some people don't believe in freedom of expression, that's not something that's commonly associated with the American idea?
Sure, I'm telling you that we have vastly different ideas on what it means to have freedom of expression.
Yeah, and do you know why? Because you have the freedom to express yourself and have your own ideas, thus proving the premise that freedom of expression exists in the United States. And you're a U.S. citizen, so you have the right to have your own opinion. That's freedom of expression.
Shit, are you done? So you think that any country where people have a difference in ideas is a country that necessarily has freedom of expression?
So you're telling me that if I took you to let's say a Muslim country and I let you have your own opinion, do you think that opinion would last very long?
All right, let me know when you're ready to answer my question.
I asked you a question. Can you not answer mine?
I don't do the answer a question.
Okay, so what's your question? Go ahead and repeat it.
Yeah, so my question is, do you think that any country where people have a difference in opinion is necessarily a country that's unified on freedom of expression?
No.
Okay, then why the fuck would you say that because people have different opinions in America, we necessarily have this?
Well, it's enshrined into law. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
You have the right. If I take you to fucking Iraq and you start talking about how it's so great to suck dick, are you going to be able to say that out loud for very long before somebody cuts your fucking head off?
You talk about what Western values are.
You just understand Western culture because you've never gone outside your fucking house.
First of all, I guarantee you that I travel more than you ever will in your entire life. So it's funny that you would say that.
Sure
Firstly, okay.
I'm sure you have.
When you talk about what Western culture is, then
Can you name one country you've lived in for more than a year besides the United States?
More than a year? No, I wouldn't want to. I don't even know if I can. I'd have to apply for like crazy fucking visas. But I've traveled quite a bit.
That's weird because I've lived out of the country and I have extensive experience with traveling around the world, and I don't jerk myself off.
You go on a lot of vacations with mom and dad?
That's weird considering you just moved out of your mom's house to become a Twitch streamer in just a few years.
You really think damn, you should have done at least a little bit of research, my dude, but nice try. So are you talking about what Western values are? When you talk about what Western values are you just talking about like what's written in law? Is that what you're appealing to? Like this is the legal doctrine?
I'm talking about Western values in general. You have the freedom of expression because it's a Western
law. When I told you that people disagree, you understand your own arguments aren't logically following. We're not even talking about like what's a fact or not, but your own arguments are following.
No, I'm talking about freedom of expression. You're not understanding me, and you're trying to argue some retarded semantics because you think you're intelligent. I hate to break it to you, Dustin, but you're just not as smart as you think you are.
Let me walk you through the arguments you just made. Stop me when I disagree.
Okay.
So you said that freedom of expression is something that Western societies value, whatever. And I said, well, hold on. People have disagreements over this. And then you said, well, that's fine, but they can have it because that's the law. That gives us freedom of expression. I said, oh, okay. So you're telling me that you're just talking about the law then when you're talking about Western values, not what people actually think. And now you seem to be upset. Where did I miss?
I'm not upset. I think you're the one that's upset because you can't really explain to yourself. I mean, I said freedom of expression. I mean, how do you not understand that? You're free to express yourself any way that you want. That is a Western ideal. It's not something that's common associated with other countries. It's not Asian. It's not African nor Middle Eastern, except by adoption.
You're not allowed to tell certain types of porn, or say in Scotland you're not allowed to teach your dog to do Nazi salutes, or say in the UK you've got different standards on what the media can report on. Like, how do you reconcile all of our differences in freedom of expression?
Because in the US you can have your dog do a Nazi salute and not go to jail for it.
We're talking about US culture.
We're talking about Western culture, which is the US. Are you not understanding this? Are you slow?
How do you reconcile all the differences?
You're saying words, but you're not actually telling me anything. You're not explaining yourself.
Pointed questions. I don't know.
You're literally proving my point by talking about Scotland and not being able to have your dog do the Nazi salute. I can do that in America. I can call you a fucking faggot and get away with it because I live in America.
Yeah, that's great. So my question is, how do you reconcile the differences between all these different Western countries?
Wait. One at a time. Go ahead, Dustin.
How do you reconcile the differences in freedom of speech between all these Western countries?
Most countries don't have freedom of speech. Just look at Canada. They have an obscenity law. You can't call somebody a fucking retard on the internet without getting in trouble. Look at the UK. If you write a naughty word to somebody on Twitter, they send the fucking cops to your house. There is no other country in the world that has the freedom of expression as well as we do.
Okay, and I don't know.
How can you even argue that? You sound like a fucking idiot.
Why do you keep saying Western values then when you mean
Well, what's the most powerful Western country?
The United States.
Right now?
Well, I mean, it's hands down the United States, right? I don't even think you could argue that.
Unless you want to argue combined markets.
I mean, why do they call the president the leader of the free world? That's the leader of the Western world is the United States president.
I'm just asking this guy why he keeps saying Western values then instead of American values. I'm just getting confused because now he just made my argument for me.
Because commonly the Western country that is the most dominant in the world is America. Again, for somebody that is so traveled, you clearly don't fucking.
You cut off there, so.
Shit, Mom might be pulling the plug. It might be bedtime.
I mean, have you never fucking read the Death of the West, how the dying populations are latching onto the fucking country, written by fucking Pat Buchanan? What did you think he was talking about when he said the death of the West? He's talking about Western culture ingrained in American society.
If we can finally get past this point, are you talking about Western values or American values?
They're the same fucking thing. Are you like retarded? Is this what you do? Like,
just
you
want
try to argue semantics?
Wait, hold on. So do you think the difference between Western values and American values, you think that's semantics?
Yeah, you're literally arguing semantics. I'm talking about Western values in American society, and you're fucking saying, oh, do you mean Western or do you mean American?
I took the L on this one.
I mean, you're fucking retarded. How can anybody take you seriously as a debater? You don't actually debate.
I take the L on this one. Go to the next one. What's the next one?
All right, go ahead, Zoom. I'll give you the last go round here, and then we're gonna take a couple more callers,
well,
and I have to read all these super chats.
Doesn't work, and half the reason why we don't experience the same problems as well as for I believe he said something about the rise in the crime rate. Half the reason we don't have the rise in the crime rate is because we didn't allow Syrians to invade our country and turn them into shitholes too. Just look at fucking Paris. The other day they were bombing fucking restaurants. What do you think? Do you think those were nice Parisians that were blowing up the restaurant, or do you think they were Syrian refugees?
Syrian refugees historically don't seem to commit that much crime compared to other immigrant groups. Are you doing the thing where you conflate every single immigrant?
Are you sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure the 2015 influx of migrants and refugees, I believe there were 1.5 million asylum seekers that entered Germany last year, were all from Syria.
Okay, yeah. Can you go ahead
and let's go ahead and pull the statistics up.
Curious.
AFD deputy leader Beatrix von Storch told BBC Radio 4 that we've got 400.
Wait, are you talking about like the gas leak thing, or what are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the raising the crime rate that happened immediately after we allowed immigrants from Syria into the European culture. I was in the middle of explaining it, but then you had to talk over me again. It's really annoying.
Oh, in Paris, you were talking about the fucking gas leak shit. You were trying to say that was a bomb attack?
That wasn't a gas leak. A fucking bomb went off. I watched the fucking dude go through and do the whole thing live on YouTube.
Oh, you watched a YouTube video about it? Damn, all the mainstream media got shook.
I watched the dude walking through.
You managed to sift through the garbage and find the truth. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah.
So like I was saying before we started talking over me.
But yeah, go ahead. You believe that the Twin Towers?
The 447 figure that the woman used referred to all asylum seekers and refugees, most of whom were in Germany legally. Overall, this group was 15% of the, 3,000 suspects linked to Germany crimes last year, which is crazy because what you don't realize is when you talk about statistics, crime in Germany was at one of its lowest rates since the 1990s. In 2014, there were 6.1 million offenses recorded by police. By 2016, literally 12 months after they allowed Syrian refugees into the country, the crime rose another 6.4 million. And these figures include immigration violations, which inevitably impact immigrants. Within that, violent crime rose from 180,000 cases to 193 between a 12-month period. The number of murders increased by...
Hold on. It rose from 180,000 to 190,000? What was the percentage increase in population, though?
I believe it was 14% in the one area.
180,000 to 190,000 is that's like less than a 5% increase in crime, and the population rose.
No, they're talking about violent crime. Those are cases, not the fucking population.
Population rose 14%, and the violent crime rose less than 5%. That would actually show that the immigrants coming in were less violent than the natives overall. Oof, that's really awkward.
No, it showed that they were more likely to commit a crime than the original natives.
How could it be more likely? The per capita crime was falling with more immigrants.
14%, and the number of rapes increased 8% over the same period of time.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
The number of rapes and murders increased by 14.6% and 8% over the same 12-month period. And most of the cases,
what percent increase in refugees or whatever?
And they weren't German. And when you look at last year's,
when 14%, when the immigration rate was 14%, because if
the rate of crime, I'm trying to fucking explain myself. You shut the fuck up.
Well, no, you're just you're rambling off like fucking AFD. You don't even have these numbers contextualized. Why would you even get raw numbers?
Gentlemen,
crime? It's so stupid.
Dropped by 10%. So your argument is moot. Because the people that were actual citizens of the country dropped by 10%. So dunked on that too.
All right, go ahead. Give your final thought, Zoom, and then you can give a final thought.
Yeah, this guy is the worst debater I've ever seen. He's fucking retarded. He can't give me any goddamn talking points. You need to hop back in your fucking high chair, take your sippy cup, and shut the fuck up.
Gotcha. Wait, my final question. How old is that guy? Can he answer? I'm so curious.
I'm 31.
That's okay, my dude. You don't sound like it, but...
All right, thank you.
I know it's tough for you when somebody's smarter than you. You got to condescend to them, but no matter what you do, you're always going to be looking up to me because you're short.
That's true, man.
All right,
be careful
both IQ
and gender dysmorphia in the future, my dude. All right, have fun.
All right.
Okay. Enjoy arguing semantics. You're going to continue to lose and get done.
I know. I feel like I'm losing so hard over here with my 14.
Sorry, hold on, Ross. Let me get up.
Shit.
I don't want to hit Destiny with my balls when I leave the room.
Don't worry, my dude. They have to descend from your body before you can hit anybody with them first.